Today is All Things Chargers. The ball is on the 25, and it is 1st and 10. Welcome back to the show. Today, as I mentioned, we're talking about the Los Angeles Chargers. We're going to go back into 2024 and review their past season, review their NFL draft picks, the free agency period, the full roster, and project into 2025. It is going to be a fun one today. This team's got a lot of hype behind them. But more importantly, before we get started, Metro, my co-host, how are you doing today, sir?
Doing wonderful. As you mentioned, all things Los Angeles Chargers. A good conversation to come up because this is a really good team. And I don't want to spoil the video we did prior, but Cade has the Chargers as a top 3 contender heading into next year. So we'll talk about that a little bit later during the predictions. For now, you want to start us off with 2024?
Yeah, man, let's go back to 2024. We got to review before we move forward. Here we are in the AFC West. We finished the year in 2024 11-6. Now, our offense, we scored 402 points, placing us at 11th out of 32 teams in the NFL. And then on defense, we had, the best defense in the NFL for points allowed. 301 points on the entire year. That is first, ladies and gentlemen, out of all 32 teams. No small statement whatsoever. So, Metro, at a glance, we were top 10 virtually, both on offense and defense, and didn't quite have the success we wanted to last year, but projecting into this year, things are looking good. That's on the shell of this and the surface. But, Metro, what are some more in-depth stats that you have on the Chargers?
Yeah, so I have some bigger, broader team stats. They were 13th in points per game with 23 points, 20th in yards per game, 20th in touchdowns per game. They were 18th in the red zone, 13 on third down. Rushing the football, this was not a very potent rushing attack last year. I think the biggest reason why was J.K. Dobbins and him not being fully healthy for the full season. That's going to change big time this upcoming season as we brought in Najee Harris and, of course, Amari Hampton, which we'll talk about here in just a moment. But they were 27th in yards per rush, 20th in rushing yards a game, and 14th in rushing touchdowns per game. Justin Herbert put on a really nice showcase in his first year under Harbaugh. They had the 17th highest completion percentage, 9th yards per pass, 27th in passes per game, so obviously Harbaugh wants to run the football, not a ton of passes. 5th in interception thrown rate, 23rd in quarterback sack percentage. Defensively, boy, these numbers are good. 2nd in opponents' points per game, 11th in opponents' yards per game, 1st in opponents' touchdowns per game, 2nd in the red zone, 4th on third down. Basically top 10 stats in multiple rushing defense statistics, and against the pass, same story, basically top 10 in multiple statistics. So one thing I do want to mention about those statistics defensively, for me, I felt like in the first half of the season, like basically at the halfway point, that defense was monstrous. I'm going to put the scores out. 22-10 versus Las Vegas, 26-3 versus Carolina. They then give up 20 to Pittsburgh, 17 to Kansas City, 16 to Denver, 17 to Arizona, 8 to New Orleans, and then we get to week 9 where they only give up 10. So up to that point, we're looking really good. We're keeping everyone basically below 20. Basically, I think 20 points is the highest they gave up. But then afterwards, after week 9, 17 to Tennessee, which Tennessee sucked, but again, not too bad. 27 to Cincinnati, 30 to Baltimore, 13 to Atlanta, that's good. 17 to Kansas City, 19 to Kansas City, that's pretty good. But 40 to Tampa Bay, 27 to Denver, and then later in the season, 20 to Las Vegas. So still really good, but as the season progressed, there was maybe a few more, little things in the armor. They also gave up 32 to Houston in the wild card game. So defensively speaking, they were damn good for most of the season. There was sort of that back stretch of games, though, where they gave up a handful of points. So in totality, I mean, what's not to like about the LA Chargers? They're really building a nice team, and I think Harbaugh had a very successful 2024 season, at least for his first year.
Totally. And Metro, we've looked at like 16 teams so far this offseason, and the Chargers, I was unfamiliar with their game. 1st in points allowed and 11th in scoring. That gives me the impression that this team should have gone farther last year. Like, they had the firepower and the team and the players and the Jimmies and Joes to go deep in the playoffs. So that just makes me even more excited for 2025. They even built on top of this previous success. Do you want to go into the free agency period, Metro, or do you got anything else on this team from 2024?
Yeah, I just say, kind of going back to what I just mentioned, I do think in some ways they overperformed because of a pretty easy schedule last year. But as we head into the 2025 season, their schedule is not that much harder. I mean, there's a couple tough games here. Of course, the division is loaded with talent now. So there's some more tough games later this year, especially after week 14, which we'll get to here in just a moment. But I do think they overperformed in the sense of I don't think this is the number one best defense in the NFL, but I do think it's a top 10 unit. And I think as long as you have a top 10 offense and a top 10 defense, you'll be totally fine moving forward. So even though I think they somewhat overperformed, I also think we have to give them a ton of credit. Jesse Minter, their defensive coordinator, he's going to be a head coach one day. I mean, he's one of those special dudes. So, yeah, unfortunately for Chargers fans, he'll probably be a head coach probably by next season, honestly, if he has another good year.
No, couldn't have said it better, man. You ready? You ready to dive into
Yes.
this free agency period?
Yes, a pretty good free agency period. Plus, I just want to say, I think they still have some money.
Dude, they got some money on the books?
They got some money. They had a lot of money. They have $27 million open still. They came into this offseason with a ton of money, I remember. And, I mean, you look at 2026, $108 million next year. So they got some money to work with. So for a team that's already really good, they're going to have a lot more money to spend.
Patriots, Chiefs. Are the Chargers next? Get a little bit ahead of myself. Let's say grounded to go into the free agency period where the Chargers were busy. Let's go through the highlights, then dive into some more depth. First up, we have signed O-lineman Mekhi Becton on a 2-year, $20 million deal. Next up, cornerback Dante Jackson, 2 years, $13 million. Our running back, Najee Harris, I hope he's doing well. We had a 4th of July incident. I don't know the full details of this today as of July 13th, but hopefully his eye is all good to go for the season. He signed a 1-year, $9 million contract. We bring back Mike Williams, the wide receiver, on a 1-year, $6 million deal. Deshaun Hand for a 1-year, $3.35 million deal. And then a bunch of other depth signings as well, which we'll get into here in a minute. Other big pieces. We re-signed Edge Khalil Mack to a 1-year, $18 million extension/prove-it deal. Do you want a bigger contract? We're paying you to stay because you bring the juice to our defense. We also bring back QB Taylor Heineke to a 1-year, $6.2 million deal. And then on some other big moves, we extend DB Elijah Molden, 3 years, $18 million. Center Bradley Bozeman for a 2-year, $12 million deal. And we release Gus Edwards, Gus Bus, and of course, Edge, longtime Charger, Joey Bosa. Metro, what was your favorite signing of this period? And then also, who was your favorite re-signing for this squad? What were the highlights of this offseason for you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be a little boring here. I'm probably going to go with the big names. Bringing back Khalil Mack was a big deal. And also signing Mekhi Becton, just adding more pieces to both your defensive and offensive lines. Just real quick, I guess we can talk real quickly about each individual player. Mekhi Becton had a great year last year for Philadelphia via PFF, a 74.7 run blocking grade with a 64.2 pass blocking grade. More importantly, finally able to be healthy. I mean, he's played 900 snaps last year. In the previous years with the Jets, it wasn't really the same story, at least at times. But he was finally healthy last year. I thought he had a nice season there, and I think he's a perfect fit for what this team is building on the Chargers. Then you bring Dante Jackson, a veteran. I don't know if he'll start or if he'll be a backup, but he's a solid veteran. He's has a lot of playing time, a lot of experience. Right now, via ESPN, he's technically the starter, but we'll have to wait and see because there's a lot of different options there. Najee Harris, a veteran running back. I do think Amarian Hampton will eventually take over that RB1 role in his rookie season, but for now, you could have two guys that pair really nicely next to each other. Najee still has a lot of juice left in the tank. He's still relatively young, and it's only a 1-year deal, so it's not like it's a long-term commitment. Mike Williams, prove-it deal. He used to be a superstar, used to be really good. Injuries have kind of derailed his career. Deshaun Hand, depth, option up the middle. Tyler Conklin, a nice tight end who can do a bit of everything for your team. And, you didn't really address the tight end position too hard this offseason, so bringing in Tyler Conklin actually is a kind of an underrated move. And then down the board, Andre James a few years ago was a really good center. And then I don't know what's happened to him recently. I don't know. Something just hasn't clicked for him. Tyler Tart, also an underrated signing or re-signing. And then Elijah Molden, 3-year extension. I think that's a great deal for somebody who played really well last year. The Joey Bosa situation sucks. It's a shame. He just was never able to fully stay healthy for this team the past couple of years. But, you got the most out of him, and frankly, I think it was just the right idea to release him. So all in all, for me, it's a thumbs up in terms of the free agency class. I think they did a really good job of, making some smart decisions in terms of who they should sign. And they were not overly aggressive. They didn't spend too much money. Like I said, they still have some money open. So just thought it was a really smart move. They didn't overreact to a good year last year. They're taking things slow. And I really like what they did for the most part. And, the re-signings were smart as well. So all in all, thumbs up for me.
Heck yeah. And I do like how you noted that in free agency, we're all kind of praying our team makes the big splash move. But I don't mean to downplay free agency, but typically the teams that pay up hundreds of millions of dollars for maybe blue chip talent, they feel like blue chip when it's just on the market, but they're on the market usually for a reason. Those deals don't usually go the best in the long run. Maybe that's just me being kind of negative. That's just my thoughts, though. Like you mentioned, I loved the Chargers' moves as well. Mekhi Becton on a 2-year, $20 million deal, and the rest of these pretty much under $30 million a pop. Everything is contained, controlled, and just playing the value in the market and shooting for upside. I like this a lot, and that's why they have so much money this year still left and going into 2026. So love the moves across the board. One more thing I definitely want to mention before I throw it back to you. Poona Ford did leave this team that I didn't really mention because I didn't release him. This was a pretty big loss in the middle of our defensive interior as he was the anchor. We also lost Morgan Fox in that interior, Christian Fulton at cornerback, Joshua Palmer at wideout, and then, of course, J.K. Dobbins, who's now on the Broncos, correct? He just got signed there.
Yeah, those are some big losses. I do agree. Poona Ford, I mean, he for somebody who's super oddly built, he's a damn roadblock, man. He can get to the quarterback a little bit too. So that was a big loss. And then Joshua Palmer too, that was also a big loss too. He's just such a reliable safety blanket. One thing I wanted to mention in terms of, we talked about how it's important not to overspend and overreact in free agency. A big reason why I think this Chargers team wasn't super aggressive and just, going for all the big name guys. You have Justin Herbert, who's now on a big time contract, and his salary right now is actually not too much. He's getting paid a decent, his cap number right now is $37 million, but in the next couple of years, it's going to rise to 46, 58, 71, and those guarantees are going to continue to go up and sometimes they'll lower. So, making sure that you don't overspend on free agents while you have this bigger contract in Justin Herbert, to me, makes a lot of sense. If anything, when you have a quarterback with a big-time deal, you want to find ways to supplement your roster through free agency, but you really should prioritize the draft to build around that, quarterback who's getting paid a lot of money. Look at, for example, the Philadelphia Eagles, who used the draft to get Jalen Carter, Josh Sweat, Smitty, but then they also used free agency and some trades to go get a Saquon, Mekhi Becton, or an A.J. Brown. I think that's kind of the philosophy for the Chargers here. Take the free agency class to add some veterans, add some dudes who can play for you, but then also make sure you draft some superstars and get some key players there. So in totality, that's just kind of my thoughts on that.
Well said. And speaking of good teams building through the draft, if the Chargers hit on this 2025 class, which, spoiler, I think there's a pretty good shot they might, this team will have an awesome base for the future. You ready to go into the 2025 NFL draft class, Metro?
Absolutely. Let's go.
Let's do this thing. Let's go through every single pick, then let's go through them individually. First up, first round pick, 22 overall, we have our running back out of North Carolina, Omarion Hampton. Second round, wide receiver Trey Harris. Third round, Jamari Caldwell, the defensive tackle out of Oregon. Fourth round, Kyle Kennard, the edge out of South Carolina. Fifth round, Keandre Lambert-Smith, the Auburn wide receiver. Fifth round, Aronde Gladson, the second Syracuse tight end. Sixth round, Branson Taylor, Pittsburgh tackle. Sixth round, R.J. Mickens, the Clemson safety. And then finally, seventh round, Tikwize Bridges, messed that up, Florida safety. Almost got through there all the way. This was a very interesting draft, Metro. I usually like to throw you this lollipop of a question, and I'm going to do it again. What was your favorite pick value-wise for the Chargers?
Oh, good question. Value-wise, I'm going to say R.J. Mickens, round 6, taking a safety from Clemson. I got to watch a lot of his film the past couple years he's been playing there, and he's played a lot of different positions for this team, both in the nickel and playing as a safety. And, for a team in L.A. that doesn't really need safeties that much because you already have Elijah Molden, Alohi Gilman, and Derwin James, I'm always a fan of just taking best player available, and I thought R.J. Mickens was clearly the best guy on the board there. So that was just a nice little value pick. Also, it's Triqueze Bridges. I don't know what you said. Poor guy's probably watching the video like
Triqueze. It was horrible. It's on me.
Yeah, I think it's Triqueze Bridges. I could be wrong too. Maybe it is what you said. But real quick, I just briefly talk about each pick individually, and then I'll let Cade take over. Amarian Hampton. Look, Greg Roman likes to rotate running backs. He did it last year with Gus. He did it last year with J.K. I'm sure he's going to do it this year with both Najee and Amarian. Kind of two similar style backs in terms of, not necessarily super explosive. I would say Najee was shifty at Bama, but not necessarily anymore. Not necessarily the shiftiest guys in the world. But to me, Amarian Hampton was probably the best talent still available at pick 22. And for a team that wants to run the football over and over and over again, doubling down in that position by taking in Amarian Hampton and pairing him with Najee Harris. Again, Najee's only on a 1-year deal. Makes a lot of sense to me, and I think he's a perfect fit for what this team wants to do. Trey Harris in round 2 needs to sign his contract. I'm sure that'll get taken care of here soon. You want to talk about like the perfect pairing to what they already have? QJ, a bit more of your gadget guy. McConkey can play on the slot, can also play on the outside, but will do a lot of his work in the underneath and intermediate. You add in a guy like Mike Williams who can win deep, but isn't super explosive. Trey Harris is that explosive athlete that can win downfield and really open things up for this team. So it's not a perfect receiving core, but if you just want to build a receiving core of guys that work well off each other, then I think that they have a really nice set of receivers there right now. Jamari Caldwell, just an absolute workaholic. I think he was a 0-star recruit. Am I correct?
I think that's right. I'll double check that
right now. 0-star recruit, worked his way to being a starter for Oregon. Big body, some stuff to run. This is a team that, like we mentioned, lost a few pieces up the middle, so adding a Jamari Caldwell could be a nice addition. Kyle Kennard off the edge, nice solid pickup in round 4 at 125. I thought was pretty decent value. I think he's a long-term option to maybe play opposite of Thule next year, but more than likely will need some development. Keandre Lambert-Smith, I think he's a talented player, but needs a lot of work. And then down the board, just some talented guys that could get some playing time, but likely will be more special teams. And I mentioned R.J. Mickens. I think he'll be excellent on special teams, and I wouldn't be shocked if he finds ways to get on the field 2 to 3 years down the road, whether it's for L.A. or for another team. So all in all, my one complaint, and I wouldn't necessarily say it's a complaint because I don't think they really had any better options on the board. I would have liked to have seen a bit of a more pass rush oriented draft pick or, a move in free agency. Because yes, you brought back Khalil Mack, who could still get after the quarterback perfectly fine. And you do have Tuli Tuipulotu. But outside of those two guys, I do worry about the depth in this edge rushing room, especially because we just saw last year how important it was to have multiple guys who can get after the quarterback. I know they have some guys like Bud Dupree already there, but I would like to see a more long-term option. But just in general, I like what they did in the draft class. It wouldn't be a top 5 class for me, but I thought it was just a successful draft all around. So again, another thumbs up. It's not an A+, but it's a solid B+ to B draft.
Heck yeah, man. I will also answer that question on who was the best value for each one of us. You mentioned R.J. Mickens, the Clemson safety. My pick's going to be Jamari Caldwell, the Oregon D tackle. You were correct. He was a 0-star recruit. He was at Houston, then ended up in the portal and went to Oregon. Guys, Jamari Caldwell, I was blessed enough to go to the Senior Bowl this year and just watch these guys go to work. And Jamari was a guy since Monday, day 1 throughout that week. He caught my eye. This big fella was holding it down in the run game and surprisingly twitchy in the pass rush as well. He was somebody I didn't know personally, and as we see, he's ranked 210 here by ESPN, which means the casuals didn't think he was a very good prospect. I'm here to tell you I loved this value here in the 3rd round. You lose Poona Ford. I'm not saying he is Poona Ford, but if any rookie in the 3rd round can supplement what he was doing, I believe in Jamari from Oregon, the D tackle. So love that value right there. And then kind of harping on what you said, Metro, on Amarian Hampton. Guys, this is going to be a tough division. You have guys like the Chiefs and the Broncos, and the Raiders will be good too. Don't get me wrong. I don't see them in the playoffs this year, but going back to what I was saying, when you're in Arrowhead, when you're in Mile High, and it's the playoffs, and it's the 4th quarter, and you have a lead of 3, and you need to run this ball down a really good team's throat to win the game, Amarian Hampton and Najee Harris will be a perfect rotation in the backfield. One of them, Najee, stays healthy. I don't want to ever say that out loud, but Najee has a good reputation as staying healthy throughout a season. And let's say, God forbid, he goes down, Omarion has fresh wheels and will be ready to go. I love it. They can instill what they do on this offense, and it will carry into the back postseason when you need it most. So this just speaks to the identity of this team. I loved this draft. Metro, what would you grade it from A to F?
Yeah, like I said, I'm probably at a B to B plus. And like you mentioned with Amari and Hampton, the top two teams in the NFC last year, the Commanders could run the football with Jaden Daniels. The Eagles had Saquon Barkley, of course. And, of course, you look at the AFC. I know the Chiefs couldn't run the football this year, but in years past they typically have been able to. But then you got Derrick Henry with Baltimore. You got James Cook in Buffalo. If you want to be a successful team, you got to be able to run the football. And I think at the time I wasn't the biggest fan of this pick when it first happened, but the more I've sat on it, the more I've kind of become more okay with the pick. And I'm actually a big fan of it now because Amari Hampton's a special talent. So for me, it gets about a B. Again, for me, it just would have been, could you have maybe took an edge rusher in round 3 and then maybe Jamari falls to round 4? Possibly, but again, who knows? I don't know.
No, that's a very fair point because there's a good chance Jamari is there in the 4th round, as we can say that from chairs that aren't in NFL draft rooms. But I agree with you, man. Jamari could have possibly fallen to the 4th and get a better edge rusher in the 3rd. If I had to give this a grade, I'm going at like a B+. I like the value. They didn't absolutely kill it, knock it out the park like somebody like, I don't know, the Patriots, who had just an exceptional draft. But this fits the description, it fits their identity, and it's building around the talent already there. So this was the draft, and this is how they built in the offseason. Metro, are you ready to look at their roster, the Jimmies and Joes on offense and defense?
Yes, let's start off with this offense.
Let's do it, man. Let's go line by line, starting up with the quarterback. We have Justin Herbert slinging the rock. At running back, we have Najee Harris and Omarion Hampton. Wide receiver, we have Ladd McConkey, QJ, and Mike Williams. Also got to mention our second-round pick, Trey Harris. Tight end, Will Dissly, and our newly signed Tyler Conklin. Fullback, Scott Matlock. I love fullbacks, man. All about it. Left tackle, Rashawn Slater. Left guard, Bradley Bozeman. Center, Zion Johnson. Right guard, newly signed on a 2-year deal, Mekhi Becton. And then finally, right tackle, our previous first-round pick in 2024, Joe Alt. Metro, what are you feeling about this offense? If you would grade it from like a 1 as in poo-poo to a 10 like they are unstoppable, where are you ranking this unit?
Like a 7.5 to 8. I still think there's some relatively small flaws here. I do think that this offense is maybe missing a go-to number 1 option. Like, I love Ladd McConkey. He is their number 1. I do think he has the potential to be, a Cooper Kupp-like guy, which would be great for this team. I'm not saying their styles are similar to each other because they're both small white guys, but it kind of comes with the profile, man. You're a little bit undersized, but you're shifty as hell and you're a hard worker. So that's Ladd McConkey for you. But I do think like McConkey's never going to be as good as Jefferson, Chase, CD, AJ, none of those guys, right?
Hell no.
And I am somebody who believes that if you don't have one of those guys, it makes it a lot harder offensively. You look at the Chiefs, for example, all those years they've had Travis Kelce, Eagles, A.J. Brown. When the Rams won their title, they had Cooper Kupp and they had Odell Beckham that year too. So if McConkey can develop, I wonder who's going to be that second guy. I do think you can get away with having a unit that doesn't really have that number 1 option if you have a variety of different waves of different versatile pieces if they're fully developed. So I'm intrigued to see who can really step up this year and in years beyond, whether that is Trey Harris or if that is QJ or Mike Williams for all we know. One thing I do want to point out, 3rd-string quarterback Trey Lance, 4th-string quarterback DJ Uiagalelei. That's going to be an interesting battle, man. I mean, that's going to be a really interesting battle for 3rd string. I think it will be Trey, but I wonder if DJ could switch to tight end. Like, I know this is completely off base here, but
Bro, he needs
he's just
to.
such a big individual. Yeah. I mean,
He
former
would do
5-star quarterback. He would be. He's a really solid athlete. But yeah, I mean, neither one of those guys hopefully will play for you this year. If one of those guys plays for you, yeah, that's tough. Unless it's like a 50-0 blowout. But I feel really good about this offense. I would like to see in the future an addition to the tight end room, just because Conklin and Dissly, not the greatest tight ends in the world. Interior offensive line, I still have a few questions about, but your tackles are solid as hell. Hopefully they can stay healthy, and Mekhi Becton will be a huge addition. So It's a 7.5 out of 10 for me. I think it'll be a better offense than what it was last year. So maybe that does boost me up to an 8, honestly, because last year they were about maybe a 7.5. This was the 13th points per game team last year. So maybe they could be. Yeah, I think they're about a little bit above league average there. If they can just be like top 10 again, my credentials to be a title contender or a somewhat legitimate title contender is top 10 offense, top 10 defense. I think you have the top 10 defense thing checked out. Do they have the top 10 offense? I think potentially, but we have to just kind of wait and see. It's really close. If it's not top 10, they're like 11 or 12. So, we'll have to wait and see.
I like it, man. And as much as I would love to talk about DJU at tight end for like 10 minutes, because that's a whole fun conversation, I'm going to highlight one thing I think really stuck out to me when I looked at the league as a whole, and more importantly, their elite quarterbacks. Justin Herbert has been a QB that has been discussed as a potential elite QB for, 2-3 years now, but he hasn't quite had the season where we went, okay, that's what we've been waiting for. When you look at Patrick Mahomes, when you look at Josh Allen, when you look at Lamar Jackson, yeah, they are drafting pretty damn good wide receivers like a Worthy. And at one point, Josh Allen had Diggs, and they drafted Flowers in the first. So, yeah, they're getting talent and acquiring talent. But the only one that has a bona fide, insane wide receiver one is Joe Burrow with Jamar Chase. He's the only one. Everybody else rotates these good, talented pieces, not superstars, good, talented pieces, and makes it work and takes you to the playoffs. So if I'm looking at this correctly, I see a first-round wide receiver. I see Trey Harris, a second-round wide receiver, and then Vlad McConkey, a second-rounder as well. That's 2 second-rounders and a first-rounder. If Justin Herbert is potentially elite, he should make it happen with this squad. That's just my opinion. And I'm a Justin Herbert supporter. I just want to see it all come together this year because they got the team to do it. To answer the question before, this team is an 8 for me. Like you said, above league average, but is it top 10? It's going to be like an 8 or a 9. Like you said, interior offensive line and just firm receiving weapons is what's keeping this from that for sure 8 or 9 in my ranking. Anything else on this offense before we move forward, Metro?
Yeah, 2 things. So I just did a video actually today of my top 10 offenses, and I actually did put the Chargers at number 9. They just cracked into my top 10 there, so maybe there's some hope there. And like you said with Justin Herbert, he's had good regular seasons for sure, statistically speaking. He had a 5,000-yard season, a 4,700-yard season. It's just kind of, those numbers are great, but can you do it in the playoffs? That is the whole sort of situation here with Herbert. But I'm a Herbert guy. I do think Herbert's a top 10 quarterback. I think he's probably 7th or 8th best, somewhere in that range. He's a good quarterback. He gets the job done. He just has to prove it in the playoffs for me. So in totality, offense is good, but defensively, let's hop into it.
Defensively, this is our team. And guys, usually I announce every single team or every single player on this team, but Metro's going to cook today on the defense. You ready to go, Metro? Take a deep breath, and let's get into this defense.
Yes, he's afraid to pronounce some names here, so I'll take the responsibilities.
I'm too respectful.
That's fair. All right, so you, of course, have a 3-4 defense, so your interior defensive end, Deshaun Hand. You also have Justin Aboigbe, Tyir Tart, and Jamari Caldwell in your nose tackle room. Otito Ogbania as your opposite edge rusher in the 3-4. Tuli Tuipulotu with Kyle Kennard. Khalil Mack with Bud Dupree. Your interior linebackers are Dion Henley and Troy Dye with Junior Colson and Denzel Perriman there as well. In your secondary, you got Dante Jackson, Cam Hart, Tarheeb Steele, Jesser Taylor, and Benjamin St. Juste as sort of your trio, however you want to work that out. And then your safeties, Derwin James, Alohi Gilman, and Elijah Molden.
Beautiful. I mean, can I give you a gold star for that? I mean, you are the man, Metro. Let's talk about this defense. They ranked first in points against last year, which means they were the best. And virtually everybody returns besides 2 interior players, as in Poona Ford as well as Max, and then 1 cornerback as well. This is where we stand. I love it, Metro. This team is bringing back all their talent. They are going to be more experienced in the same system, and it's only going to get more havoc and dangerous on third down. What is your analysis on this defense? What is the leader of this defense in your opinion? Then also, what would you rank it out of 10?
Yeah, this is a 9 out of 10 defense. It's for sure one of the better defenses out there. I also did a top 10 defense video, and they ranked third on my defense. And what I said in that, which I'm going to stand by here, when you look at the depth chart, it's not a depth chart that you're like, wow, they got so many superstars. They got so many just incredible players. Like our last team video, we talked about the Denver Broncos, and it was like Pat Surtain, Zach Allen, Nick Bonito, a lot of really big names, a lot of guys who are just, really big playmakers. This Chargers defense isn't necessarily one where it's like a ton of superstars. Yes, you have Khalil Mack, but he's not, I wouldn't say he's a superstar at this age of his career. You have Derwin James, good player still, but I mean, outside of that, like how many people are talking about Dion Henley or Cam Hart or Tarheeb Steele, right? Nobody's really talking about these guys, but these are all really solid players. And what I think really makes this defense better than a lot of other defenses out there is that they have great chemistry. They play super well with one another, but they have a defensive coordinator who we talked about earlier, who's going to be a head coach one day, that just his play style is very unique, and it works so perfectly with this team. So I think he really is the difference maker from having with this depth chart, if you have an average defensive coordinator, it's probably like 12th or 11th best defense.
Fair.
But with a great defensive coordinator, you're talking about, last year, one of the best. So again, I will reiterate, I do think defensively they kind of overperformed against a lot of mediocre offensive opponents, but I still think they're a legit team, and I still believe that when it comes down to it, this defense will get the job done in a number of games, and they're going to be tested a little bit more this season, especially later in the season, which we'll talk about here in just a moment, but in totality, I'm a big fan of what's going on here defensively. I think they have a really solid just entire core and a great defensive mind as well.
Beautifully said. This squad, for me, is going to be a 9 out of 10. Like you mentioned, the superstar talent justice for Dion Henley, man. Like, it's not loaded with it, right? But just the players go on forever and ever, and they play so well in sync together, and the man who's calling the plays knows what the hell he's doing, and that's how you win football games all day long. Are you laughing about something? You're grinning. You're like scheming over there, Metro.
No,
what are you doing, man?
You ever watch the Chargers TikTok account and Dion Henley in those? Bro, he is like an influencer, dude. Like he should start a podcast. He's so funny. Like, so typically when these social media managers for these football teams do their interviews or do their little content stuff, the players are always like not very interested in it, right? Or if they are, they're just playing it up for the camera for a little bit. This dude is like hanging out with the social media team. Like, he'll be getting his foot wrapped and he'll call over the social media team and it'll just be a video of him talking. And he's just so funny and so like likable. And he's a baller too. Last year via PFF, 64.8 run defense grade, 72.9 coverage grade, 92 solo tackles with 48 assisted tackles. Like, this dude is a baller. God. And you wouldn't, if you watch the TikToks, you would not know this guy was a maybe potentially future Pro Bowl linebacker, but he's just that kind of guy. And we talk about this team not having superstars. Maybe he could be the one that develops to become that next superstar because he has the statistics, he has the numbers, he has the personality. Maybe he could be the guy. He's also just 25 years old, so he's super young.
Dion Henley, we would love to have you on the pod. We will be reaching out shortly. And, this defense is sick. This offense is also very good. We are hopefully optimistic on the yo. We know the defense is fantastic. Metro, is it time? You got anything else to say before we dive into the best part of our show?
No, I have nothing to say. Our managers will be getting to you, Dion Henley, about showing up on the podcast.
If we had managers, that would be sick. Here is the best part of our show. Chargers fans, are you ready? It's time. We're going into the full 2025 season and predicting every single game and scenario, giving you a W and L for every single game. And then the best part, if you make the playoffs, just maybe, I think you'd have a hint based off what we just talked about. We will predict that as well, too, and make up our scenario for the playoffs. It is time. Let's do this thing. It is Week 1, Friday, September 5th, and we are at home playing the Kansas City Chiefs on YouTube TV at 7 p.m. This is a Friday night-like game. I didn't even know those existed anymore in the NFL, but here we are. Who wins this game at home, Metro? The Chargers at home or the Chiefs on the road?
What a terrible way to start your season off on a Friday on YouTube. That sounds brutal. I think this could be a bit of a statement game here for the Chargers. By the way, let me just quickly look this up. I think this is an international game.
I think you're like, there's no way. Is this like Brazil?
Yes, Chargers to play Chiefs in Sao Paulo, Brazil in week 1. So this is going to be in Brazil. Not that that really changes my opinion of the game very much, but I just wanted to point that out. This could be a potential statement game for the Chargers. I think at the bare minimum, you need to split the Chiefs this year. You can lose one, but you need to win one. I'm for now going to say a loss here to Kansas City, but keep that in the back of your mind as we get towards the back end of the season.
Very nice. A loss for KC, so that's a W for the Chargers. Big win here.
Other way. Chargers lose.
I'm deaf, my bad. A big L right here on the road. Everybody makes it home safe from Brazil. Thank God. That's a real win right here. So 0-1 on the season. But hey, that's going to happen when you're in the division with the KC Chiefs. Week 2, it is September 15th. We have 10 days, pretty much a bye week here for our team. And we're going on the road to the Las Vegas Raiders. It's a 9 p.m. Monday night game. Sheesh. Brutal timing right here. Metro, who pulls this one out?
Yeah, another weirdly put game here. I think that this is a good game for the Chargers to bounce back after a week 1 loss. The Raiders are a more talented team, I think, or from where they were last year. Ashton Genty, Geno Smith, all those guys got a good head coach. I'm going to give the win here to the Chargers, though. I just think right now they're the better team, and I expect them to prove that this year.
1-1, says Metro. We're going to week 3. It's Sunday. Thank goodness we got a regular game. It's September 21st, 6 days later, and we play the Denver Broncos at home, 3 p.m. slot. What are we thinking, Metro?
Denver's a damn good team. I am somebody who says Denver's better than the Chargers. I know Cade thinks it's probably the opposite. I like this Denver defense a whole bunch, and I think that they will be able to slow down Herbert and that rushing attack. So I'm going to give the win here to Denver. But it's going to be a very close and competitive game. By the way, those two teams, man, they're going to be duking it out all season long. So this is going to be a very important loss if it were to happen.
Big ol' L here right in week 3. Going to week 4, it's now September 28th, and we have the New York Giants. We're going on the road. We're going up to New Jersey. It's noon, a regular game. Thank goodness again. Who wins this one, Metro? Is Jackson Dart starting by this time, too? Who do you think's a quarterback?
I think Russell Wilson will still be starting, and I think this will be a close game because I do think the Giants are going to be better than what a lot of people think they will be. They're not going to be a good team by no stretch. I'm going to give the win here to the Chargers just because I don't trust Russell Wilson, but don't be surprised if the Giants give this team a legit run for their money. It could be extremely close, but I am actually going to give the win to the Chargers.
Chargers, big win. We're back to even 2-2, week 5, and we play the Washington Commanders at home. 3 p.m. slot, Fox Sports. What are we thinking, Metro?
Chargers need a statement win here. I'm going to suppose that at this stage, Jaden Daniels is starting to get his footing back after maybe a couple of little slow starts to the season. I'm going to give the win here to the Chargers, though, because I think they need that statement win. They need to go on a little bit of a run here after starting the season off 1-2. I think this could potentially be a way for them to get back on track.
We're getting hot. It's week 6. We're 3-2. And now it is October 12th, and we're going on the road to Miami to play the Dolphins at noon. Miami, a team who seems to be kind of on the ropes with their head coach in the hot seat. Is it heating up by this point, or did they have a fantastic September like they seem to always do? What's the sitch? What are we feeling, Metro? Who wins this game?
I don't think he's on the hot seat quite yet because I think the Dolphins could start the season off a little bit better than what we expect. But I do think the Chargers will get the win here. Defensively, they can hold off and keep Tyreek Hill a little bit contained. And I think defensive line-wise, they can get after the quarterback. Miami just, to me, doesn't have the secondary right now to match Ladd McConkey. I think Trey Harris could have a big game here too. So give me the Chargers and a win here.
Woo-wee. We are 4-2. We're heating up. 3 games in a row. Week 7, we are back at home, and the Colts roll up. And, Metro, who the hell's a quarterback in your opinion, and who wins?
This is a complete toss-up. I'm going to say it's Anthony Richardson. It could be Daniel Jones. I don't know who the Chargers would prefer. Frankly, I don't really know if it matters. I think the Chargers will win this game. I love what Indianapolis has, but that quarterback position is just really confusing right now. It'll be another close game. I think it'll be very similar to like the New York Giants game where it will be close, but ultimately I do think the Chargers will pull this one out.
We started the season 1-2. Now we are 5-2, 4 in a row. And now it's week 8, and we have a very nice competition here on Thursday Night Football. The Minnesota Vikings are coming to Los Angeles to play us. 7 p.m. game, of course. Who wins this one, Metro, with J.J. McCarthy and the boys?
Yeah, this will be a very fun game, and I think at this stage we will know how good JJ is. If JJ's struggling, then the Chargers probably have a win here. If JJ's playing good, then it can go either way. I think Minnesota is a more talented team than the Chargers are, but I think the Chargers have a better coach. It's very close. Both teams have great coaches. I personally trust Herbert a lot more than JJ McCarthy. I also think they can run the ball effectively. So even though I think Minnesota could win this game, to me, it's a bit of a 50-50 depending on what JJ looks like. I'm going to assume JJ is not incredible, so I'm going to give the win here to the Chargers.
Ooh-wee. 6-2, we are cooking with gas. Week 9, we are going on the road to Tennessee to play the Titans and Cam Ward at noon. A regular schmegular game. Who wins this one, Metro?
Yeah, this is a game of just don't slip on your own feet. Handle business, don't mess up, don't have too many turnovers. Chargers don't typically do that. They're a very well-coached team. I think they'll handle business here and get the win.
Belt to ass, you heard it from Metro. We're 7-2, week 10, and we are back at home playing the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's going to be Sunday Night Football. Aaron Rodgers and the boys, DK Metcalf. How does this one shake out in Los Angeles?
I do think the Pittsburgh Steelers will be a competitive team. I'm going to assume T.J. Watt gets his contract done at some point. I think the Chargers are a better team than the Pittsburgh Steelers, but I have to imagine that the Chargers are not going to be a perfect team the entire season. They're going to have a game where they probably should win, but they're going to fail. Losing to the Pittsburgh Steelers is one of those games that could happen, and frankly, it's not a bad loss at all. So I'm going to give the win here to Pittsburgh. But it could be any of these, like Minnesota, Indianapolis, Pittsburgh. They could lose any of these games. For me, I'm just going to predict it to be the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Well said, and a very respective opinion right there. Week 11, and we are playing on Sunday, and we're going to Jacksonville to play the Jaguars. Travis Hunter, BTJ, pretty boy with the locks. It's Trevor Lawrence. Duval, it's noon. Who wins this?
I think Jacksonville could be competitive this year, and this game's going to be very similar to, as I mentioned, the Giants, where not a lot of people are going to predict the Jacksonville Jaguars to win this game, but I think they very well could end up winning it. With that said, I do trust the Chargers a lot more than I do the Jacksonville Jaguars, so I am going to give the win here to the Chargers, but I wouldn't be surprised if Brian Thomas Jr. and Trevor Lawrence start to really cook, and they potentially might pull off a win here. But for now, I'm going to pick the Chargers to win.
Well said. We're going to our bye week. It is week 12, and we are going to be 8-3 on the season with a handful of games remaining. Buckle up, Buckaroo, because there are some tough ones down the stretch. Week 13 out the bye, we play our friendly foes, the Las Vegas Raiders at home. Who wins this game, Metro?
I think the Chargers could be in a must-win game here because I know they're 8-3, so it doesn't feel like it. But after this game, it's a brutal stretch of legit 5 playoff contenders and 3, maybe 2 title contenders. So this is a must-win game. Again, I think Las Vegas will be competitive, but I'm going to give the win here to the Chargers because I think they kind of have to win this one.
Well said, man. Week 13 is an absolute must-win against the Chargers because here we go. Week 14, we are playing the Philadelphia Eagles in Monday Night Football. Dun-dun-nut, dun-dun-nut. We're at home, though, luckily. Who wins this one, Metro?
I cannot in good faith predict the Chargers to win this game. Philadelphia is just the better team. Their offense is super dominant. They can control the ball, both rushing and passing. Defensively, they did lose a lot of pieces, but I don't think it's going to be enough for the Chargers to win. So I am going to predict the Eagles to win, assuming that they're healthy.
9-4, respectable loss right there. And, okay, hopefully after the Eagles, they throw us like a gumball, something kind of nice and easy. No, Week 15, we are playing on Sunday against the Kansas City Chiefs in Arrowhead. My God, who are the sickos crafting this script? Metro, who wins this?
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, I had the Chiefs losing I had the Chiefs winning in week 1 over the Chargers. But as I said, I do think they need to split, and I think they will split here. I think they'll get the win over the Chiefs. They've been super close the past couple of years. I think it's very important for this Chargers team to build confidence and split these Chiefs games. So I'm going to have them winning here in week 15.
We are 10-4 with a statement win in Arrowhead. We're going into Week 16, and we're going to Dallas to play the Cowboys. Welcome to Jerry's World. Flags will be thrown when you don't want them to be, and Dallas is also Metro's team. So, Metro, keep bias aside right here. Who wins this game late in the season? Because Dallas will be in playoff contention usually. How does this go?
The last 2 times the Dallas Cowboys have faced the LA Chargers, they have won 20-17 in 2023 and in 2021. I do think there's a possibility the trend continues because Dallas has kind of been beating them pretty well these past few years. But I just think the Chargers are a better team right now. And although I'm a Cowboys fan, I want to say Dallas so badly, I am going to give the win here to the Chargers.
This man is so respectful. Look at this. We are now, with another win, going into Week 17. We are going to, we're at home. We have Houston rolling into town. Thank goodness. Houston, a playoff contending team, definitely fighting for their division at this point. How do you see this one shaking out, Metro?
Houston's a good team. I think that the Chargers could win this game. By the way, I think this is the wild card matchup, or rematch. It is.
Ooh.
I think this is an important one for the Chargers to win. But Houston has some pieces, and I just don't know if the Chargers can really go after that offensive line enough to really threaten C.J. Stroud. I think that's part of what hurt them last year, and I think it could hurt them this year. I'm going to give the win here to Houston.
I like that analysis. That is well thought out. Good point on the interior O-line. You can't break through. You can't get this win. Next up, we have the Denver Broncos in Week 18 in Mile High Stadium. We sit at 11-5. Is this for the division? Because if you split with the Broncos technically and the Chiefs and you wipe the Raiders, this is feeling like a divisional championship or even just in the running.
Yeah, I think the Chiefs are going to win at least 12 games, so I think that will keep them away from winning the division. But I could see them maybe being in the conversation for it, depending on how Kansas City's season goes. I think Denver's the better team, and I do think this is a situation where one of these two teams is maybe making a deep playoff push or trying to win the division. So it could be a must-win game. I don't think Denver is going to be benching their starters or anything like that. I'm going to predict the Denver Broncos to win here. And unfortunately for the Chargers, even though I think they did get better, I still have them at 11-6.
We finished the season 11-6, as Metro just mentioned. And luckily, that is good enough to get into the playoffs. Metro, it is time to break down our playoff scenario because this team, the Los Angeles Chargers, was good enough to get into the show, and it's going to be a feisty one in the AFC. Let's break this down. Where will they likely seed at? Let's go make this a conversation now rather than me just yapping. Where do you think they finish at seeding-wise?
I would assume – so I'm assuming the Denver Broncos are second in the division, and I think that they would probably be the 5 seed.
Okay.
My assumption is that the winners of the divisions will be the Bills. I think the Ravens will win their division. I think the Texans will win their division. And I think the Chiefs will win this division again, which then puts the Broncos as the 5 seed and then probably the Chargers as the 6 seed. And it'll be interesting to see who gets that 7th seed. I'll say maybe Pittsburgh or maybe the Bengals, one of those two. But they'll be at the 6th seed, which means they'll probably be facing –
it sounds like Buffalo or
they'll be going up against the
Chiefs,
3rd
maybe.
seed. That's who I'm thinking. I think it'll be the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs are one of those weird teams that they don't mind losing some regular season games. They don't mind losing those.
They don't give a damn. Okay,
Baltimore.
So is that we're going to lock in? Because I'll paint the picture.
I think it's between the Chiefs and the Texans. I'm going to say the Chiefs though to be a little bit more fun.
I love it. Absolute cinema. It is wild card weekend, week 19, and we are in the playoffs. The Chargers are rolling in hot. We just had a kick-ass season, and we are going to Arrowhead Stadium. We got the win a couple weeks ago, but can we do it again? Y'all know how rowdy that stadium gets. It's cold as piss. Justin Herbert's ready to go. So are the boys. Metro, who wins this game and by how much?
This is tough. I'll be transparent here. I don't think the Chargers are beating the Bills nor the Ravens. I do think if they can get the right path, they have a chance, right? That path is very, very difficult to get to. They would have to face either Houston or Kansas City or Denver, depending on who wins this division. So they'd have to win have to manage to get one of those matchups. And if they were to win those, that round 2 matchup would also be pretty interesting, right? You're hoping it's not Buffalo or Baltimore. You're hoping that they get squared up in the second round so you get the easier matchup. It'll be quite difficult, though, for that to work its way out. I do think the Chiefs would win versus the Chargers just because it's hard to count out the Chiefs in the playoffs with that crowd, with that quarterback. I know that their roster isn't as dominant as it has been the past few years. Like, they're not so loaded with talent in every single position like they have been, but it's still a really, really good roster with a lot of good pieces. And I just have a hard time predicting the Chiefs to lose in the playoffs in the first round. So I'm going to predict the Chiefs to win. I guess we could do a hypothetical where hypothetically, if the Chiefs were to lose and the Chargers were to win, I think in round 2 is probably the farthest they go. I don't think they're beating the Bills. I don't think they're beating the Ravens. Again, if they can get that favorable matchup versus a Houston or somebody like that, then maybe they can make it to that third round. That seems pretty far-fetched, though. But, we've seen crazier things. Like 2 years ago, the Packers with Jordan Love made it to the third round, I believe. So is that correct, or is that second round?
I think it was second round.
Okay, well, the Lions did, I think, that 1 year. So there's a possibility the Chargers do it. It would just take a very certain particular path for that to happen, but I'm not going to predict that. So I think it's probably another first-round exit, which is unfortunate. But, again, they're a young team that's building in the right direction, so there's things to look forward to.
Nobody can blame you, Metro, for saying, hey, the Chiefs aren't going to lose the first week of the playoffs. That is the most sane take on all of planet Earth. So No hard feelings, if we're being honest, but that's just the reality of the situation. And like you mentioned, their path that works the best, you said, who would you want them to play first? Like the Texans? Because they played them last year, and you saw how that went. But obviously it's a new team, a new chapter, a lot of new things. Would it be the Texans and the Buffalo Bills, are you thinking? That's who you'd prefer?
Well, the one that I would least want would be the Ravens, that's for sure. I don't think I'd want the Bills either, because Josh Allen, that boy can cook in the playoffs, man. I think your hope, and this is going to sound a little like, I won't say morbid, but not, I probably shouldn't say this, but I am going to say it anyways. You're probably hoping that a quarterback gets hurt at some point. You're hoping that Lamar gets hurt or Josh, if you want to make a run. That's just the truth.
Yeah.
Because you're not beating those guys in the playoffs, unfortunately, not at least with this current roster. They can get there, especially because the Bills, I can't see them getting significantly better. And with the Ravens, you have an older running back in Henry. So I think you're just kind of playing the waiting game where you're just kind of waiting to see if things open up for this Chargers team, which it could happen. I just don't think it's going to happen this year. Again, I hate to say it, but if you're going to want to make that championship push this year, you're going to need a lot of dominoes to fall your way, maybe with some injuries, maybe with the specific pathway. But in totality, I'm not going to predict any of that. And so if we assume everyone's healthy, I do think that the Chargers have a quite difficult path to win a title or to make a deep playoff run.
The playoff path is, you want to run, this is it. Justin Herbert emerges with these weapons. They got 2 second-round picks and 2 first-round picks, put names to the side, and uses this talent for the better and wins some damn football games. And I think that's very short-sighted to blame everything on a quarterback, because I'm not blaming it. I'm just saying if you want to lift up a team, that is the best position to do it at. They got great coaches. We know that. They got talent on defense, and they got a good amount of talent on offense. All these other elite quarterbacks are raising their teams. If Herbert can do it too, now is the time, and that's how that playoff run happens, in my opinion. Would you agree with that, Metro? Or would you say something like no and give, like, what are your thoughts, honestly?
You would have to, the only team, at least in terms of the division winners, let's just assume that every single, like the Ravens, the Bills, the Texans, they all win their games, right? Or whoever has the 1 seed is fine. I think you'd probably want that Texans matchup, because that's probably that's a tough team to beat too, but that's the matchup you'd probably want.
It is.
Maybe you feel comfortable because you beat the Chiefs, but again, for me, it's like good luck beating Patrick Mahomes in the fourth quarter at his stadium with those refs. Like, come on, like that's just a tough one. That's just a very tough game to win. So for me, you'd want the Texans, because if you do beat the Texans, your hope is that, I don't know, Baltimore messes up in the first round, or Buffalo messes up and they'll lose, or they get somebody banged up, or just something falls your way. It's not completely out of the possibility of happening. It's just probably not going to.
Yeah, And a big thing that people don't take account for, when you are in a dog season, and by that I mean you are 18 weeks, gentlemen, into a football season. If you put on pads before and if you played basically in high school, when it was week 9, you're like, damn, brother, it's a little bit cold out. I'm tired. I've had my fun. When's the season going to be over? These guys are doubling that, and they have families and responsibilities. By week 19, you need some kind of internal and external motivation to push this team forward. And what that is for me is you lost to Houston in week 17. We can use that to our advantage and push for that game in the wild card round. I think it's extremely hard to beat KC on the road in week 15 and go do it again week 1 of the playoffs. That is a hard thing to do in the NFL. Back-to-back wins. There's more motivation in getting your ass kicked and going back to kick their ass in their house. That'll have the boys ready to go. Then if you win that game, who's touching us? We just proved ourselves again, and now that's where the magic happens. That's just kind of my hippie analysis of this wild card run, but that's just my thoughts. Got anything else, Metro, on the Chargers today?
No, Chargers fans, I think it'll be a successful year next year. I don't know if it's easy to predict any sort of playoff success quite yet, but this team is heading in the right direction. You're hoping, you're just praying that you can get an easy path through the playoffs. But again, it's very difficult. But it'd be a fun year next year regardless.
Los Angeles Chargers fans, I want you, yes you, to drop in the comments down below what you think your record will be and how many rounds you go in the playoffs. Go ahead, drop it in the comments. Let us know. We are curious because y'all know best. We are just two people yapping on a microphone and camera. We want to know from the real fans. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, please drop a like because it boosts the algorithm tremendously. I don't know why. Metro doesn't know why. If you don't like the video or comment, they think you absolutely hated this video, even if you watched 40 minutes, which we think is dumb. So every like counts and we appreciate it very much. Thank you very much. And then, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. We appreciate you more than you know. Have the best day. Love y'all. Metro, say goodbye to the people.
Thank you guys for watching. Peace out.